Hey, hello, and how are you, everybody? Dom Tibbetts, Matt Bovee at Highmark Stadium. The Buffalo Bills coming out with a 31-21 win. Maybe not as lopsided as we all thought it would be coming into this matchup. The line had shifted a little bit. Bills were, 12.5-point favorites coming into tonight when finally all settled. So either way, a win's a win. They played on a short week, and I think that's what matters the most. We're going to go, obviously, into like the nitpicky. Here's what went right. Here's what went wrong.
Sure.
But ultimately, the Bills are 3-0. The Miami Dolphins are 0-3. And for the Bills, they now have a mini bye week to rest up and get moving.
Yeah, and they played this game pretty shorthanded defensively. Now, it looked at times like they were playing pretty shorthanded defensively. I think the big thing that people are wondering about is where is the pass rush? Why were the Dolphins able to have so much success on third down, especially on third and longs? And those are things that we'll talk about. But the one thing that I do want to say is the defense made the play that won the game. It looked like the Dolphins were going to go down the field and score. And admittedly, I thought they might go for two, try and take the lead with a minute or two left.
Why not? What else do you have to lose?
That's what I
mean.
You're a huge underdog. You're 0-2 at this point. Like, you're going for the win. But Terrell Bernard read the play, and he said after the game, like, listen, this was something that I knew might happen. I jumped it, and we were able to make the play. And he ran right towards you on the sideline, right?
So he came over because I'm on this sideline grabbing the shot, and then he races down to that side. So as I'm going down the sideline, I get kind of right by the Bills bench to where the limit of where I can go is, and he looks at, I believe, Sam Franklin and goes, "This is mine. It's my ball. I had to have it," which is like, hey, if anybody's going to go make that play, it's Terrell Bernard. I don't know how this team continually, like when they need that big takeaway, when the turnover needs to happen, this Bills team, I mean, we talked about it a lot last year. It seems to be something that carries over. Again, the defense, not the greatest day. There's a lot they're going to have to clean up. But when it mattered the most, you leaned on your captain, a guy who just makes big plays in big moments. Terrell Bernard seals this thing up. And I want to mention something about the pass rush. Here's my thought. It could be better, right? You didn't have Ed Oliver. Can we also give Tua Tagovailoa just a little bit of credit for his elusiveness in the pocket? The Trey White play that I know everybody, like I was scrolling through Twitter, everybody was kind of harping on the Trey White play. That's not Trey's fault. Like Tua kind of Tua peeled away from my angle. Tua peeled away at the very, like, what is Trey? Trey is coming in full speed. He is a guy that maybe weighs $150 soaking wet, Matt. He doesn't have the ability to stop, break down, set the edge like a defensive end. He was starting to make his play to lunge in for the tackle. Tua just had a really well-timed pivot move where he just kind of got out to the back. At least from my side, you got to make that play. But I also think you have to also give equal amount of credit to Tua for being elusive in the pocket, which he was all night. He got out of the way of a Joey Bosa sack, a Deion Walker sack. Give credit where credit's due, but ultimately he makes a big mistake at the end, and the Bills are now 3-0.
Yeah, we'll agree to disagree on the Trey point.
For sure.
But that is totally okay. We're allowed to disagree on things. That being said, the pass rush at times created pressure, but never really got home. And against a bad offensive line and a quarterback who isn't very mobile, I thought this would be a game where they would be able to do that. I mean, I think the Patriots had, 5 sacks against the Dolphins last week, so it felt like it was setting up for that. However, like we mentioned, the Terrell Bernard play was good. And also, the Dolphins have an at times explosive offense, and they scored 21 points.
You have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, like that's not a terrible day from the defense. It was just the third downs were bad because there's that one sequence at the end of the first half where they converted on a 3rd and 12, a 3rd and 10, a 3rd and 7, and then a 3rd and 3, and that gave the Dolphins a touchdown and had the game tied going into the half. But overall, I do think Ed Oliver will help things. Matt Milano will help things. Max Hairston. There were times today when Jalen Waddle was pretty, beating Trey White a lot. And it was that's why you drafted Max Hairston, because you feel like there's just a higher ceiling there. But overall, listen, I think that they made the play when they needed to. They played okay. And against this team, that was enough.
And I think offensively, they started out hot, had a good start. Then they get in the second half, had a good opening drive there. What concerned me, though, was a little bit of sputtering. It was three straight punts?
3 straight punts until the roughing the punter penalty that extended the drive. So, I mean, there were 3 straight punts. One of them was just turned into a first down for the offense.
Which it's like the Dolphins did help the Bills. There were a couple penalties where the Dolphins bailed the Bills out. They'll extend the drive, and they were able to go score because Cameron Johnson took the roughing.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but I didn't want this thought to slip my mind.
Go ahead.
2 critical mistakes in this game. The roughing the punter penalty and the 2 interception. The team that made those mistakes lost. We always talk about how the Bills don't make those mistakes nearly as often as their opponent. And sometimes you wonder, are these able to continue? Will they continue to happen? Well, they do. Like, this has been a trend, and I feel like the Bills at times played a tad too conservative because they were banking on a Dolphins mistake. But they were right because it happened. And I don't love living that way. I feel like you got to, step on the throat and put a team out while you can.
Right.
But it's what happens.
That's just Buffalo Bills football. It's like it's the football that we've all gotten accustomed to seeing. And again, like, no matter what it is, you got the win. And I do think there's something to be said about some of the deficiencies you saw on both sides of the ball. The guys were playing on 5 days of rest, basically. We aren't able to watch.
And they had to the Dolphins had to travel here. The Bills had to travel back from New York. I mean, like, they're getting back at 8 o'clock on Sunday night.
And we said it all week, Matt, is that Dolphins team was playing desperate.
Yeah.
Back against the wall. Mike McDaniel might be coaching for his job. He might land, and he's fired.
Yeah.
That's a reality. I mean, I think the score helped him a little bit tonight.
Yeah.
But overall, the locker room, the speculation, the reports around where that culture in that organization is right now, it's not good for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah.
It's a short week. The Bills got it done, and they also now improved to 3-0. They have 2 wins against division opponents. They have a win against a team that they're likely going to see on top of the AFC. I would imagine the Ravens are going to be a good team this year, we'll likely see them again. But again, you got the job done on a short week. You go into this mini bye week. I think it would be great for a couple guys who are dinged up. It's going to be great recovery time for Ed Oliver. James Cook, who went in the blue medical tent. He was pretty quick, though. He got out. Christian Benford just got the wind knocked out of him. That was a little bit of a scary moment for sure, because it looked like it was another play where Taylor Rapp just kind of came across the middle and took one of his teammates out. I see you cooking up something.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say I wanted to give a little shout out to a couple of the guys on the offense, because I know 31 points by the Bills standard is like a pretty average day at the office. I thought Elijah Moore was good today in a couple plays when they needed him to. Dom's been talking about Elijah Moore. He also had what would have been a first down on the final drive of the game that was negated by a holding penalty, and then he made the other big play that kind of got them that first down back. So I liked his game. Shakir was effective. I thought Dalton Kincaid had a nice day. Tyrell Shavers made some really nice catches and had a really nice block on the Khalil Shakir bubble screen that gave them the lead. So I was not just looking at my phone and ignoring you. I wanted to see what Elijah Moore's stat line ultimately was. Only 2 catches, 30 yards, but made some really nice plays for this team. And overall, this was an everybody eats game, right? We always talk about it. This was an everybody eats game for the Bills.
Whatever it takes. Elijah Moore, those are the plays you mentioned. The stat sheet isn't going to be full, but those are 2 impactful plays. Khalil Shakir's had a quiet start to his season, but again, his plays tonight were impactful. Chain-moving first down catches, a touchdown at the end that helped seal us up late. That's what you look for. 31-21, it's still a 10-point victory. Josh Allen handles business. And the ability for them to take care of the ball, I will say, I did almost jink Brandon Codrington. I looked to one of our other buddies who shoots the games with me on the sideline, and I went, I'm not going to say this fully because he does so well, but there's a guy on the special teams unit that I feel like is pretty assured with his ability to just be stable. And then I was leaning towards Brandon Codrington.
Well, he did fumble it.
He did fumble, but it was recovered by the Bills. So I think I saved myself a little bit there too. However it looks, ugly or not, Bills got the win. And that's all that matters here.
Yeah, I want to see more moving forward from Greg Rousseau. I feel like that is a player we've been waiting for him to splash.
And I thought tonight would have been the night where you felt like he could have eaten. Yeah.
I was going to say I wanted to see more from Terrell Bernard, and then he made the play that he did. So kudos to him for kind of having the ability to always make the big play. He heard me. I thought Christian Benford was pretty good in this game, but Tyreek and Jalen Waddle made plays. They are a good wide receiver duo, even at this point. I think there's people out there who don't think Tyreek Hill is very good anymore. The speed is blazing, and he is a matchup nightmare for a lot of people. So there is certainly room for improvement. No Ed Oliver in this game, no Matt Milano in this game. For me, I feel like you err on the side of caution with those guys, even though, you don't take anybody lightly. I think they're going to be a huge favorite against the Saints.
Yes.
So I feel like getting those guys back or a little bit of extra time for that Sunday Night Patriots game in 2 weeks might be the smartest approach for the Bills.
I mean, it might be wrong on the math. 10 days until 2 Sundays from now?
Yeah.
I could see them bringing Ed back. 10 days of rest. I could see them wanting to bring Ed back. Milano, though, great news hearing earlier that he's not on IR, so that's great news. He's a guy, though, there's no need.
Yeah.
I think they're just fine what they have out there. I don't know what that line is going to be for the Saints game. It's going to be massive. But I agree with your point there, too. I wouldn't mind seeing Ed out there. I don't think you're rushing him back too much because I think there's if this game was on a Sunday, maybe Ed Oliver is out there playing. So injury-wise, I think the Bills came out of this in a good spot because like I mentioned earlier, Benford just got the wind knocked out of him. James Cook came out of the tent. You have a mini bye week to go get rest, I think you're going to be just fine.
All right, and then let's close with this kind of big picture. The Bills are 3-0, right? So they're the first team in the NFL to improve to 3-0. The Chiefs are 0-2.
That's crazy.
The Ravens are 1-1, but you have the tiebreaker against the Ravens.
Yep.
The Bengals are now without their star quarterback, so their outlook looks very, very different. The Bills are in a position where they have to get the 1 seed. They have
100%.
to, right? Like, with the start that they've had, it would be a massive disappointment if they don't. That is really putting the cart ahead of the horse. We're in week 3. There's a
Yes,
long
of
way to
course.
go, but it feels like that needs to be the focus for the Bills. So we'll see how it plays out. Ultimately, we're both pretty tired. That's Dom Tibbetts. I'm Matt Ultimately Beauvais. We'll talk to you guys ultimately soon.